All right. Ooh, that's loud. Turn that down. Turn this baby up. Hello? Oh, okay. And welcome back to GM Dynasty here. Christmas podcast for the people. And so before we get into it, I just want to say Merry fucking whatever you celebrate. I don't know what it is. Don't care, but hope you have a good whatever it is that you do. With that being said, I think everybody knows what we're in time for. And we got Commissioner Ryan here with us. Ryan, say hello.
How's it going, everybody?
Right on. So we have a lot of questions here, Ryan, but the people just want to know first, who are you? So Ryan, give us a quick breakdown. Where are you from? How did you come across the league? How did you think of this idea? Like, how did you get things together? Can you give us that kind of lowdown first?
Yeah, sure. I'm 33 years old. I'm married. I have 2 kids. I live in Seattle, British Columbia, on the West Coast. And I've been a long time fantasy sports, big time player. And then I recently, about 3 or 4 years ago, started to get interested in, the dynasty leagues, and I came across a baseball league on Fantrax, and really the year after I said I needed something like this for hockey. So I was looking, I didn't find anything with like a 30 team league. So I decided I was going to just start my own. And so I pretty much stole everything from that baseball league as far as the initial setup and draft goes, and drafting the franchises. So, Bill, I don't think you were part of the initial franchise draft, were you?
Unfortunately, no.
No, okay. So yeah, it was basically, as most people know, we had the draft of the franchise where you choose what team you want to own, and then you select 5 players from that team, and then from that point, it was pretty much setting everything up from there. I had one co-commissioner at the beginning who's pretty infamous for all the players who were with it from the beginning. I can't remember his name. He was some weirdo. He was like one of the first guys to join, and he volunteered to help me as the commissioner, and he ended up halfway through the first season he quit, and ended up trying to sabotage the league by dumping half his roster, all this garbage. So that was interesting. We had a few little hiccups in the first year, but yeah, that's how things got started. And I'm pretty surprised that things have gone as well as they have after the setting up the first year in the franchise draft and all that. Things have been running very smoothly. It's not a ton of work for the commissioner to maintain this league, which is probably a lot of credit to the owners and teams we have in this league, who, everyone's, pretty chill and professional, and, they just want to have a good time and have a well-run league. And so it's pretty easy to keep it going.
It's funny that you say that, because there's multiple people in my league, and it is friggin' wild west in my league. So yours is just night and day compared to mine. So a lot of people are grateful for a well-run league, myself included. So
I can't take all the credit for that. We got lucky with the owners that joined at the beginning, and people like yourself who have jumped in to take over franchises. When I was trying to start this up, everyone kind of on the message board said, how much of a disaster it is trying to play in a 30-team league. But yeah, this league, for some reason, we just got really lucky with everyone that's involved. So it's good.
Yeah, just like a tangent. After the first year I was in this league, I was like, yeah, this is for me kind of thing. I loved the concept and everything. And when I created mine, after the first year, I think we lost about 12 GMs. So it is a wild ride, and they were correct in warning you. So yeah, we did get extremely lucky here.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is the turnover year after year. If you're replacing, 10, 12 teams every year, that sucks, and that's a lot of work for the commissioner. So, I mean, this past year for our league, we didn't replace anybody, which is pretty rare. So, not everyone's as involved as we'd like them to be. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but Pittsburgh, for one, hardly ever involved. But, he keeps paying his $50 every year and coming back. So, we'll keep him around. But, yeah, that's the biggest thing is, having lots of turnover. But this league, we've been fortunate.
Yeah. I really enjoy Pittsburgh, like just talking trade with him, because every time I send him an offer, he kind of just gives me the "what the hell are you talking about" look, but through words. So hard to describe, but I know you definitely have had that look, especially if you're married. Probably wife gives you that look all the time. The "what the hell are you doing?"
Oh, yeah.
So with that being said, let's dive right into things now. And the biggest question we have is, why is there no realignment in the league this year in terms of playoffs?
Yeah, no, I knew that question was coming. Adam, for one, has definitely been very vocal about the realignment. Honestly, my opinion is why do we need to do it? It's just kind of complicating things when we don't need to. But, if, especially when it's kind of a split decision, there's several teams in the group chat that said, they weren't for a realignment. So, if everyone was on board, all 30 teams said, yeah, I want to realign this year and do something different, then, of course I'd be down to do it. But, I'm not going to just change up the divisions for 1 year just because a few owners want to do something different this year. For me, it kind of seems a bit gimmicky. We don't need, but, I'd just like to keep things steady and not rock the boat. And, that's kind of my outlook on the topic.
So question then for you, because was the league created to be like a exact replica of the NHL, or was it like in the rules that this is what the things are going to look like, and unless bearing significant polling, it's going to stay like this kind of thing? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, no, pretty much. I mean, we're meant to pretty well replicate the NHL, and I know what you're getting at. The NHL is realigning. Why aren't we? But I don't know. I just think it's just an unnecessary move for our league to make. But again, like I said, if there's a vast majority of teams that think realigning this year would be fun and something they want to do, I would reconsider and think about it for sure.
Oh, okay, cool. So the past 10 minutes, you probably heard me banging around here, and that's because my chargers and stuff weren't working. I had one on my iPad, one on my phone, but my small charger was on my big iPad. It was stupid, and that's why it was all banging around. But it's issue resolved, and now we know why there's no realignment. So 2 stones with 1 bird right there. Perfect.
Yeah, no worries.
So moving on. I guess let's figure out what the story about the St. Louis Blues. So tell us your early history. How did the team do in the beginning, and then moving forward, how did you do in playoffs and over the past 3 years?
Yeah, I drafted St. Louis Blues as my franchise in the inaugural season, obviously, and I took 5 really decent players from that squad, the likes of Tarasenko, Shen, Schwartz, Pietrangelo, and then the goalies Jake Allen and Carter Hutton. So from the jump, I've really had a pretty strong team with that core. I'm pretty sure I've won the Central Division every season since we started. So
humble brag.
I've always had humble brag. Yeah, I've always had a pretty good team, and I'm happy winning the division every year and getting my $90. that's quite satisfying. So, but since then, I've always been in kind of a win now type of mentality. So I've never really had a lot of good prospects. I've never drafted too high in the first round. So I've always been kind of focused on winning the division and then trying to go as far as possible into the playoffs. I don't have my results in front of me right now, but I know I haven't gotten too deep in the playoffs. I don't think I've made it to, I haven't gone to the conference finals or anything like that, but I've always made it a round or two into the playoffs. But I think last year would have been the year that I might have made a deeper run before COVID happened and we had to cancel the season, but finished the year as a co-champion, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer. I did think you were at least a favorite in the West to come out of the West, but I feel like COVID did rob you. There are certain teams out there that are bragging about being tied for 8th. It's not an accomplishment. You just finished 8th, and Ryan seems to understand that. So kudos to you, Ryan, for understanding that you're robbed of actually finishing first, but there is respect in finishing 8th. I will definitely say that. I won't take that away from you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So with that being said, you did make a mention that you were always caught up from making the Western Conference Finals. What was holding you up beforehand?
Well, always running into really good teams in the West. I mean, for a while there, obviously Brent in Arizona was quite dominant, and then Dan in Los Angeles has been really dominant the last year or two as well. So just running into better teams in the second, third round. So for my team, I just need to get better. I need more better players, really.
So,
my goaltending's a bit weak. Hutton and Allen are both backup goalies who aren't the greatest. Although I am kind of excited to see Allen on Montreal this year, and he's going to get a lot of starts with Carey behind Carey Price. So yeah, goaltending's always been the weak spot, and other than that, I just need better players. This year, my team, unfortunately, has downgraded a little bit. I think I've lost Tavares, I lost Pietrangelo, as you know, I traded him to you.
Yep.
So I am, slightly worse off than I was last year, so that's not great.
So let's get into those trades. Explain the Pietrangelo one first. So that one was with me. I traded you Sergachev for Pietrangelo and a first. Mm-hmm. And I think I added a bunch of prospects that are going to play fringe third and fourth line minutes. So value in those players as well. So, just give it a quick breakdown for the people.
Yeah, so you approached me with the trade. I think you tried to come after Pietrangelo a while before that as well.
Yeah, mid-season.
I was kind of thinking about it just because I didn't know what Sergachev's contract was going to be at the time, so I didn't really want to commit to that. But, I think Pietrangelo is the best player in the deal, so, you got him, and, kudos to you, I guess. But I'm happy with the return. I needed to get rid of him. I didn't have the cap space to keep him. So I'm very happy to get Sergachev, 22 years old, 4.8 million salary is pretty good.
Yep.
He had a really good playoffs for Tampa, so maybe he builds on that and, improves this coming season. And the prospects are, minor league players that you threw in there, they might be able to chip in here and there and help out if needed. And I think you threw in Alexander Alexiev as well, a prospect defenseman on the Capitals who, could be decent. You never know. So, it's one of those things, I hate getting rid of players like that, Petrangelo, but I can't afford it. So you have to get rid of them. So I am happy with the return.
So just a quick little insight here. Ryan alluded to it. My strategy when it comes to trading is I'll hit you up, put some seeds of doubt in your head. I'll say, hey, this guy, he's UFA. Maybe you better take a look out here. I got this player on my team. He might help you, even though he's a little less point per game. Just got to include a first because of that contract. So Ryan just busting my balls here, exposing my strategy. Unbelievable. Not only that, he goes on further and then he says that I'll just keep coming at you until I throw a whole bunch of prospects in the mix. So if you hold on long enough, I'll fold like a lawn chair and I'll stock you up. So thank you, Ryan, for exposing myself there. Greatly appreciated. Let's go into Tavares now before you expose myself anymore. What happened to that trade?
Tavares, yeah, that was another one.
Can you break it down first, though? What did you get? What did you have? Yeah. Okay.
So I traded Tavares to Calgary for Roope Hintz. And that was another one where Tavares, I knew I couldn't afford him anymore, wanted to get rid of him. And initially, I kind of thought I could get something more for him. But I think you mentioned this in one of your podcasts before. Players over like 30 who are making 10 million plus a year are very hard to trade in this league. So I kicked a lot of tires, I knocked on a lot of doors, and wasn't getting anywhere trying to trade Tavares for what I was hoping to get. So finally, I just kind of was getting a bit frustrated and kind of just threw out an offer to Calgary, and he accepted right away. And I'm not unhappy with the return. Hintz is younger. His salary is $3.15 million. So and he put up over 5 fantasy points a game last year. So there's some hope there that he turns into a pretty good player. But I am losing Tavares, and my team this year is slightly worse fantasy point per game wise anyway.
So I will give you a bone here. Like, I'm wearing a Stars jersey right now, wearing my banner. So Ben looks like he's regressing. Pavelski looks like he's regressing. Same with Radulov. Seguin's hurt. So I already wrote this in a 31 Thoughts. For those that read it, that's really awesome. Thank you. But I really think Dallas is going to ride Hintz and Gurianov. So to think that he will not hold on to that 5 points per game, I think it's more realistic to see him be maybe a 5.5 point per game player. So, I mean, you gave up Tavares, but I mean, when you're losing maybe 1 point per game, when the difference is a 6.5 to 5.5, I don't think it will set you that far back. So, and the thing is, like, when you're trading those old guys, no one wants to give up anything because they know that they're on it like expired time. So, like, you also have Bergeron too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was going to say it's going to be interesting to see how Bergeron gets traded, because I think you just have to ride him out kind of thing until your window you feel is completely closed shut.
Pretty much, I have thought about trading Bergeron the last few years, just because I know his time's kind of running out. He's 35 now, but it's just really hard to give up, 8 fantasy points a game. So I'm just gonna ride him till he's done. Yeah,
because you'll never get that value back.
No, and he makes under $7 million a year, so he's not killing me cap wise either.
Yeah, like even me, if you're coming to me Bill, do you want to give up a first? No, not a chance, kind of thing. And then the other GMs, do you just want to trade Bergeron for a late round first and a couple prospects and a roster player who might be maybe a 4.5 point per game player kind of thing? So, I think you're doing the right thing, and it's more like we're just talking to the general audience here and saying, be cautious with those older players. Try to
try to project those older players before they sign the contract and try to trade them a year before they turn UFA.
That's the key, yeah. And I did put it out in the chat that I wanted to trade Tavares for, I think I said a younger player who makes less than $5 million, who's a decent player under 25 who makes less than $5 million, and several people scoffed at that request.
Yeah.
Cough, Detroit Robert Love. But I pulled it off. So,
he pisses me off sometimes.
I am pretty happy with the return, I guess.
Yeah, the thing is, when you post it in the group chat, you have to know it's going to get ridiculed. So there's a game to that. And the game is post something ridiculous, because then whoever comments on it sounds even more ridiculous for commenting on it. It's just a game within the game. I like turning screws and grinding gears. It's what I did to Reed the other day there. Reed, I was just joking around. I do love you. Love you, dog. It was just having some fun. I don't think you're vain. With that being said, and with my stories for your Mary fucking whatever, let's move on here. So after this point where I say I hate Reed, and then we do noticeable trades here, how long is your window, do you think, Ryan, for your ability to contend?
I don't know. I think maybe a few more seasons at least.
I hope
not. I'm just keep trying to ride this as long as possible, and as the players get older, try and ship them off while they still have some value, and bring some younger players, like we did with Sergachev and Heinz this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got a few more years, but the Central Division is people are catching up. Winnipeg had a really good year last year. Dallas has always been my biggest rivalry in the division, and they have a really good team. So, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't win the division this coming year. But I still plan to be in the playoffs for the next few seasons at least.
Can't wait to be in that conversation myself.
Pretty
exclusive club. St. Louis. Who else? Winnipeg and Dallas. Those three. Those are the only three making playoffs in the Central. Forget about everybody else, in my opinion.
For now.
Yeah, for now. Oh, burn Nashville. Even Commissioner agrees. Oh, that's a savage one. With that being said, who's your rival, Ryan? Like, who do you hate to lose to, and why? And if you don't answer, I'll answer for you.
Yeah, I've always take notice when I'm playing Dallas for sure.
Nice.
Just because
he's got such a stupid name.
What's that? Oh, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
just kidding, Dallas.
He's someone I always look out for and want to beat, just because I know we're always kind of neck and neck in the standings, and I want to win the division and make my $90. So he's a big one, and probably Winnipeg is starting to get up there as well. Other than that, I like to when you play the big dogs like Dan, Los Angeles, and Buffalo, and those types of teams, you always circle those ones on the calendar. So, but yeah, as far as rivalries go, I would look in the division to Dallas and Winnipeg.
Who has been the biggest disappointment in the league so far in terms of teams overall?
Vancouver, I guess.
Burn.
Harrison, bless his heart, he keeps coming back every year and paying the fee. But he's been in the basement since the beginning, and not seeing a lot of moves by him to try and get his team much better. So that's kind of disappointing, but again, credit to him. He keeps playing every year, and we love him for it.
So I hate doing this, but to be on Harrison's side, spit. What about his Eichel trade? Like, do you remember that at all? He could say, he's trying, I brought in Eichel, but I gave up 5 prospects that could have helped me in 2 years.
What was the trade? Do you have it in front of you?
No, that's just more or less my breakdown is that he got fleeced, even though he got the best player in it, but that's just me trying to tease Harrison,
Right.
and I am starting to
he's
feel a little buzzed.
obviously- I think he had Pedersen at the beginning or near the beginning as well. So I mean, that's how things turn out the way they do. I mean, you make a few bad trades and you're really behind the eight ball at that point, and it's hard to dig yourself out of that hole. So I think that's the position he found himself in. It's not for a lack of trying, I'd say. It's just a couple bad trades that sewer you.
Ryan, I forgive you. You might not have known this, but we don't talk about Pedersen on this podcast just because I probably made the worst Pedersen trade in the league here. So we don't talk about Pedersen. That's just strike one. Don't get to strike two. That's all I'm saying here. With that being said,
I wanted to talk about the Carlson trade that you and I had.
okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's bring it up.
So I think you offered it to me, and it was pretty much an acceptance right away. It was you gave me Carlson, and I gave you Eric Goodbranson, Taylor Radish, and a second-round pick.
I had John Carlson.
You did.
Oh, Jesus.
So that was one of my best trades of my career. So I want to thank you for that.
Whatever, Ryan.
I think that trade honestly probably put me, in position to be one of the top teams for a few years.
Oh, that just makes me sick. Was that right when I first came into the league?
It was a couple years ago. Yeah, it was probably pretty close.
So you could probably hear me writing things down right now. You'll notice it when you see the podcast, and you're going to have a quick laugh. Yeah, but yeah, the phone sees it.
You don't remember that deal?
No, I don't. So it must have been right at the very beginning. So you definitely took advantage of me. So
Well, you offered it to me. I didn't.
you should have said no, Ryan. You should have said, "Hey, look, I'm the commissioner of the league. I need to save the parity. What are you thinking, you big dingus?" I'm just so mad at you right now. It's really hard to believe. With that being said, you probably have a new rival in me. So once my team's better than yours, and the podcast is still running, expect me just to have a hate parade on the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, no, I'm rooting for you. I want to see the teams that were in the basement rise up, like yourself, and we're seeing that a bit with Boston. I think that's made some really nice moves this year. So
yeah, that was actually.
It's good to see those kind of those changes in the league where the teams that were in the bottom move themselves up.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. What are your thoughts on first Boston, and then second? I like New York Islanders. I think they're the underdog. So I just want your thoughts on those two teams, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, Boston, like I said, I've been impressed with their offseason this year and their drafts. They had a ton of first round draft picks this year and really good looking young roster right now. So I could see this team in a couple of years being in playoff contention for sure. So really impressed with Boston, and the turnaround that they've done has been impressive. The Islanders, I don't know. I haven't really paid much attention to the Islanders. What's going on with them? Have they done much this offseason?
So that's the thing. Not a lot of people have been paying attention to them, but they're going to be sneaky good this year. So if you beat the Islanders, consider it beating a good team, in my opinion.
I'm looking at the roster now, and yeah, I mean they do have a pretty decent roster. So
they don't have any pigs right now in terms of 6 or 7 point guys per game players, but where all their players are right now is primed to be in a position to have a better season the next season, like the one we're coming into. So right now he's got a bunch of 4-point players. So if all of them do better, well, he's got a pretty thick roster all of a sudden, and he's got really good goaltending too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. That's a decent roster right there.
And before the draft, the NHL draft, he had the best prospect in the league with Zegras. So he's also got not only a good roster, but he's doing what Dan's doing and building a good stables as well. So I think he's doing a really good job. And just for reference, even though me and him are cousins, we used to fight all the time. We still fight. I think he's the ugliest person alive. So I don't think I'm just pumping up his tires for any reason, because I don't. I just can't stand him sometimes.
I didn't know you guys were cousins. That's funny.
Yeah, we're having Christmas tomorrow via Skype. He's getting to open some of the presents my mom bought for him over the iPad. So that's going to be fun. And Ryan, I guess last thing before we leave, throw some hate out there. Give me a chirp out of team. Who do you hate?
Well, as commissioner of the league, that would be inappropriate to
Don't care.
fire off any hate like that.
Don't care.
So I'm going to play neutral and just be commissioner and not engage in any of that stuff.
So before the episode aired, Ryan told me that he was going to give me that whole fancy dancy Joe Biden spiel, whatever, nobody cares. So what he did was he told me to give the chirp for him. And so Ryan from Dallas, you're going down. Your team sucks. You're a bum. I hate your name. I hate everything about you. Us in St. Louis, we're going to take you down. If we don't, we're going to change the points on Fantrax to take you down. There's going to be nothing. You're done, buddy. You're done. So with that being said, me and Ryan are leaving on a high streak, knowing that we're about to kick the shit out of Dallas this season. We thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We're definitely going to have you back on, because everybody wants to know what the commissioner thinks. And yeah, Ryan, thank you.
All right, Bill. I appreciate it. That was fun.
Cool. I'm glad you have fun. Talk to you later.
See you later.
Bye.